All right, it is the penultimate run of SDAT 2024. Please welcome Fortify, as the chat says, Gamer Fortify. I'm going to let them take it over because they've got a lot to say and I don't want to get in the way. So please take over.
Thank you. Hello, SDAT. I'm back. Some of you might recognize me from last weekend when I did my Donkey Kong Country 2 speedrun. Well, it turns out I also play Metroid games, so we're gonna play Metroid Dread any %, no major glitches. This is a pretty good game. Probably one of the harder 2D Metroids to speedrun, all things considered. Today I'm joined by my lovely commentator, Hobbit. Hobbit, would you like to say hi?
What's up? I'm Hobbit. Been doing commentary for Dread a lot recently. Do a whole lot of unrestricted, and now I'm here with Fortify.
Heck yeah. I am gonna just mention this just right now out of the way. There are different difficulty modes for Dread. There's rookie mode, normal, hard, and like a Dread mode, which is just a one-hit KO mode. I'm going to be doing this run on rookie mode. The only differences between rookie mode and normal mode / the rest of the difficulty modes is that you start off with an extra 15 missiles, and you also get slight damage reduction from like bosses and some other stuff like that. But other than that, I am ready to go. Time is going to start on the basically as soon as I press continue on this file. So, excuse me, Hobbit, would you like to count me down?
Absolutely. We'll start from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Alrighty. Alright, so Metroid Dread. This is a game that is very, very movement-based. You'll see that a lot in the start of this this first area called Artaria. It's kind of like Super Metroid in the sense that there's a lot of like cool movement stuff that you can do, but it's like stylistically a lot more similar to Metroid Fusion than it is to Super Metroid, and it's similar to its movement, to its engine, similar stuff like that.
Yeah, Dread particularly has a pretty refined movement engine. Now all of it's very, very smooth and works very consistently, almost like deterministically, so it creates a very smooth experience. But coming up here, we got to climb this first real movement test, just lots of quick rises, quickly shooting enemies. A ledge to ledge as well, just like a nice little warm-up for the rest of the run and the rest of Artaria. We also have a couple ways to hit some things we're not really supposed to. So by doing a slide jump into a ceiling, you can poke Samus's cannon through the ceiling and get to blobs that are not normally accessible. By doing this allows us to go to Corpius first to go obtain the Phantom Cloak.
Yeah, ordinarily this would be the final boss of Artaria, but we're doing it first instead. And this is where these extra 15 missiles really do come in handy, because this boss has an invisible mechanic, and if you don't guess where its head is correctly...
Yeah, it can be a bit of a struggle to do quickly. The extra 15 missiles makes a big difference and can allow you to beat him in this first invisibility phase, but if you don't, you can just shoot his tail and then finish him off right here. Get 2 pot shots sliding under. And Phantom Cloak acquired.
Real quick, we just got a $3 donation from Anonymous that says, Metroid Dread, let's go!
Thank you for the $3, Anonymous Gamer. It really helps the stream out.
Right. Metroid Dread, let's go. So, just a little bit of movement tech with the Phantom Cloak. By sliding, you can basically carry your cloak forward instead of doing that slow walk forward. Just makes it really easy to get through those sensor doors. There's not too many of them in the game, but definitely don't want to be doing the walk of shame through the cloak doors. And then, of course, we're going to be seeing Adam several times throughout this run, and by several times, I mean about 4. He's got a lot to say, and that's really, really slow. So once we get into Catters, we'll start talking about that. Another thing to note, you might notice that the white enemy's not here. By avoiding the cutscene that spawns the Emmy, you can actually just run freely into the Emmy zone. Fortify also not taking the slide under there. That's just to avoid the item tutorial. Anywhere there's like one of those white box item hints. If you slide through a gap, then it will trigger the tutorial. This leads us to the water skip. Basically, by using Phantom Cloak, you can extend your jump timing off of that and get across to skip draining the water, which is a nice little trick here.
Long live the toilet skip, by the way.
Long live the toilet skip. It's an iconic one.
AGDQ 2022 or 2024. I mean, what year am I in?
He's too focused. He can't remember years, unfortunately.
I'm locked in.
But yeah, you might have noticed we also skipped draining that water on the platform there. By bonking Samus's head during a melee after a wall jump, that you can respin a little bit sooner, which allows you to gain a little bit of extra height off of that single wall jump. And we'll begin our first beam upgrade here. This just allows us to open the charge beam doors. Generally, will give us more power down the line, and will allow us to do the quick charge maneuver, where if you interrupt the charge up sequence with a spin jump or a turnaround, you'll get a much faster charge beam than you would normally. We also will be taking plenty of E-tanks here. I believe this run finishes usually with about 3, but you can go anywhere from 0 to 4 without really losing too much time, and that extra 3rd or 4th one can add a lot of insurance for a little bit later in the run where we're going to have to be in some uncomfortable situations.
Yeah, speaking of the energy tanks, because of the big trick of this route, I normally will do anywhere between, basically in how I'm feeling, I normally 2-tank this, sometimes I'll do 3. I'm probably going to be ended up grabbing 4 energy tanks just for some marathon safety.
Yeah, there are definitely some unfortunate outcomes during that crux of the run that can just cause you to die if you don't have the extra one. So anything we can do to prevent that is a easy solution for a marathon. But now we're coming up to the first of the magma buttons. This just opens up these doors here and gets the magma flowing through CDR. Basically just a way to gate our progress through both Arteria and Caterus to guide us towards our next items. Coming up here, we're going to be approaching the Spider Magnet Emmy fight. But first, we're going to need to spawn the Emmy, because as I mentioned before, we never went through the cutscene to spawn the white Emmy. So we're gonna have to make use of another one of those slope techs off the ceiling in order to jump over a pillar and spawn the white Emmy, as well as break the blob before the Emmy zone. But first, we gotta talk to Adam. He's always got a lot to say, unfortunately. But you're gonna see Fortify drop down here. Nope.
It worked in practice.
Yeah, that setup with Magus Skip there, that can be really, really tough. It's very position specific, so doing that setup on the wall really normalizes a lot of that and makes it a lot simpler. Coming up on the CU fight, which is just press the missile button. Later on, we'll get more better options for DPSing the central units and other enemies in general, but for now, missiles are our best bet, and luckily the game gives you plenty of them. One thing to note, rookie mode does provide more health drops on average for melees, and bosses, and stuff like that, so that should help us in the long run with keeping our energy high. And coming up here, we have what is considered potentially the hardest Emmy fight to do correctly. Ooh, that was really, really good. Very, very close to a plant kill. But essentially, that little bit of movement makes a huge difference. And if you're fast enough, you can kill on that initial plant and slide under or shoot in the face. However, Fortify getting a really clean jump over. Very, very nice. Alrighty. Okay, so now we can pretty much just leave. It leaves one ultimate trick left in Artaria here for us to call our one a day. But don't worry, we'll be coming back later. Fortify is a really big fan of the next time we're here.
Hobbit's pretty funny. Practical jokester over here.
You know, I'm here till, you know, about an hour and a half from now. A little less. Very nice movement here, getting the quick rises. And then going to be heading towards a relatively infamous trick in Dread speedrunning, the elevator deboost. This one can be a little awkward sometimes. There's several options for movements you can take here. But essentially you just need to get bopped over here, smack that guy, shoot that guy, and then bam! Might as well make a tutorial out of that one.
I'm so good. What the heck?
I mean, you got it, man. That's definitely like a trickier setup, doing the smack into the missile, but it is the fastest variant of the trick by just a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to be heading to Cataris now, and like Hobbit was mentioning, Cataris is pretty infamous for one trick in particular called Atom Skip. Hobbit did mention that we only talked to Adam 4 times in this speedrun, and the 4th and final time is going to be coming up here in a little bit, because after that we break the sequence of atoms, and in this run saves close to like 3-ish minutes, so...
Yeah, it can be kind of tricky, but the payoff is so unbelievably worthwhile that you're gonna see it's a routine trick in pretty much every run. So if you have any final words you want to give to Adam before we send off here, now's your chance.
I have a couple. Allow me to say. All right.
Fascinating. She has such a way with words. Cataris is also kind of infamous because it's essentially a movement gauntlet for a lot of categories. For some of the unrestricted categories, it has some other quirks, but that's not really relevant
Oh
right
my
here.
gosh, unrestricted Cataris, dude.
Yeah, no matter what way you swing it, both variants of Cataris are pretty tricky. They've got a lot of movement-based tricks, and some tricks that are just generally, you know, a little tougher, a little more difficult. But here's a pretty routine one. This is the Super Boost. Basically, by manipulating the flies, you can go ahead and just bounce yourself up there. Skip a little magnet cycle. Ooh, very nice. That wall, surprisingly, is extremely hard to traverse. I've gotten caught on it hundreds of times, probably. It's absolutely wild that they decided to just run the geometry like that.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah. Now, unlike other Metroid games such as Super ZM, the heat ticks in Dread are very aggressive, so that's pretty much the only hot room run we're going to be seeing for the whole run. They ramp up in a truly wild degree, very, very fast.
Wild is putting it lightly.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll just be walking straight past the green enemy, no 1 in 500 spawn where he just decides to spawn directly in your way. We'll be hitting the next magma button.
Hobbit, I'm going to go for Hell Pseudo. I'm going to try it a couple times.
Word. Got it. So coming up here, we're going to be seeing Hell Pseudo, as Fortify mentioned. Essentially, you can shoot the first magma button from below in that hot room. So this is one of the few times we're actually going to be pursuing a hot room here. So Fortify is going to take a couple shots here. Just give it a shot. But unfortunately, he's going to have to bail, because if you get it after like the 4th shot, you will die. You will continue to take heat damage during it, unfortunately. Ooh, nice slide under though. Looking pretty good.
Yeah, that Hell Pseudo only ends up saving like 7-ish seconds, but it is still a time save, so.
Yeah, and also it feels pretty nice to get, just getting the button from the wrong side, but it can be really, really tricky. The angle for it is pretty specific. Yeah, coming up to our next button here. Basically, Cataris is like a puzzle box that we slowly have to unlock.
That's a really good way to put it, actually.
So, you know, imagine in any vanilla scenario, you pretty much just go point A to point B, but in like maybe a randomizer scenario, it can be very difficult if you don't find the entrance of Cataris quickly. But coming up here is the infamous Atom Skip ADM. this trick consists of a few buffered wall jumps and then a rub on this ramp here, and then a aerial melee into a respin wall jump. This basically allows you to wall jump off the bottom of the slope instead of the top of the wall, and that little bit of extra height is all you need in order to get up there. So, Fortify, getting a handful of attempts in here. Definitely a pretty nerve-wracking trick at times, but that's looking pretty good. Very, very nice. And we are moving on to our next button. Truly land of buttons here in Cataris. It's the hot item.
It's the hot ticket item, exactly.
But luckily, if we can go turn this one off here, this will disable the hot room, which will allow us to essentially just kind of leave. We don't quite have the beam upgrade needed in order to get into the Emmy arena, so we're going to have to take a quick trip to Dyren in order to get the necessary tools. This is also, like, probably the longest cutscene in the game. It's not really that long, but, like, in context of the rest of Dread, it really drags on.
Yeah, I've always dreamed of finding some way to skip it, like some kind of manipulation, but
it would be so nice. Because honestly, both buttons are just really long ones. I'm just gonna scoot right over the green Emmy there, no problem.
I got caught right there.
Unlucky. I've been missing zipper skip a little bit too, but basically you can catch that magnet on the way down and kind of like zero cycle the tower. Then coming up here, we got some pretty specific movement to get around this volcano enemy. Known aggravators of knocking you off the magnet, so by keeping to that specific movement, it kind of prevents it from ever being a problem, which is really nice. And now we're gonna grab that second energy tank. This is always one of the nicest ones to grab. You lose basically no time for it.
For a little bit, that was the first energy tank people would grab in the run. We were skipping the Artaria tank in favor of a slightly more demanding Hell Run movement section, but it was discovered that there's really no waste of time losing or skipping that tank. So
yeah, it's so minimal that it's just like whatever. Like it's just the insurance for it is really, really nice.
Yeah.
Honestly, it becomes more of a question at that point of do you want to get rid of the one in Dyren after speed. That becomes the real like skippable one.
Right.
And now we're out of the gauntlet.
We are in fact out of the gauntlet. Do we have any donations or any news to
well,
pop for?
We don't have any donations, which is you know, it's early in the run yet. I have faith. They're not going to let me sit here and do nothing for an hour and a half. That's not what they're going to do.
Yeah, we got to get some donations.
People will
in,
not do that to me. If you've ever loved me, no, I'm kidding. No, please consider donating. It is a great cause. Save the children. We are close to hitting 51,000 total raised for charity.
Nice.
And yeah, so if you've liked the show, if you've come in, you know, just $3 is the minimum. You know, what are you gonna do with $3? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
so,
think of instead of getting your fruity Starbucks drink, you can donate to save the children instead.
You know, when you put a little twang on that fruity, and I had to go for a second to figure out what you meant. You know? I hear you. I picked up the intent after a minute, but you know, for a second I was like, I don't know him like that. So yeah, yeah. Don't get your fruity, as in flavorful beverage tomorrow. Instead, donating $3.
You might save some children.
You might save some children.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We can't guarantee it, folks. The tracing just doesn't do that good of a job.
I'm sure one day we'll get there, you know? But now, turning the power on. Bright idea, you know?
Yeah,
unfortunately...
Dyren's kind of broken into a lower and upper section of, like, generators. So this was the lower section, and the top section, we'll deal with that later, but...
Yeah, I like to think Ravenbeak just ran through here and turned all the light switches off, you know?
He's trying to he's trying to save some energy. What a good guy.
Yeah, he's just really environmentally conscious. That's why I put all the X in the vault, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
This is low-key one of my favorite movement runes in the game. Unfortunately, sometimes that enemy can be a little bit volatile in here and just boop you and ruin your charge, and then suddenly you're awkwardly trying to hit the wide beam block, but that's okay. Fortify Nail is my favorite deboost in the game. Honestly, one of the smoothest. Ooh, nice melee over the Shudder there. We're gonna be going back to Cataris. Luckily, they just gave us a free little path straight back to the tram.
Yeah, in true Metroidvania fashion, it's like we can't finish another area without going to another area, grabbing an item, and then going back to the area. So just a quick detour into Dyren before we come back to it later. And we are once again at another elevator. This is a pretty good game. It's an elevator simulator.
You know, it's a really nice elevator cutscene. I like how shiny Samus's suit is. However, sometimes the game decides to give you the wrong elevator cutscene, and that's my favorite moment. You know,
The all black one.
I love getting on the tram and then being in a teleportal.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Alright, so now we finally have the means to open up the door to the green Emmy. So we're going to go ahead and drop right in. Fortunately, now we will be able to get the necessary Omega Cannon in order to properly defeat him and get one of the most important items in the game. One that definitely threw me off in my original playthrough. Like, where is it? I don't understand. Like, why might we not have this yet? But here we have Wide Beam, which does a significant amount more damage than just the regular Power Beam. So we will be opting to do a little bit of mashing on the brains here. And then, in true speedrunner fashion, we're going to be taking this Emmy fight and pretty much just staring it directly in the face, break this blob, and the Emmy's cooked. It's just kind of slowly approaching, you know? Makes it seem a lot less scary, I guess.
Yeah, that fight has very quickly become very quickly became one of my favorite fights for this game, because it's very that fight is, when you see it for the first couple of times, it's like, oh my god, that was close, how scary. But I still had quite a bit of time before I needed to potentially bail out of that, so it's a lot closer than it looks, or it's not as close as it looks.
The mantle over the one tile gap just takes so long, so you have so much time to just to get the last little bit of damage in.
Yeah.
But now we can morph! Finally, we can go in all the tunnels that we've been looking at. There is also another option for that kill that is basically just a huge flex, but you know, most people do not opt to engage with Professor Stupid.
Because, as its name suggests, it's pretty stupid.
It's shockingly so, I think. Unfortunately, we do not have the Various suit quite yet, so we cannot go head towards Kraid. However, luckily, we've got this handy-dandy teleportal here that takes us right back to where it is.
Imagine that. I just got out of a teleportal, and now I'm going to another teleportal.
You know, that's the way of Metroid, you know? You got lots of elevators, lots of teleporters, all sorts of stuff, you know?
Yeah. It is one of the things that, this is one of the things that I like the most about this run, though, or run in this game in general, is that because of all the constant warping around the planet, whether it's through the teleportals or the trains, or elevators even, you get a lot of time to just kind of like put down your controller, like pop your hands if you need it, just kind of take a breath, as Hobbit said.
Yeah, it provides for a nice water break as well. Another small kind of movement piece here. You notice Fortify did not slide through that morph tunnel below red TP. Again, just an effort to avoid the item tutorial, because that just wastes a little bit of extra time. Ooh, shot through? Ooh, very nice. Okay. So that shot through saved a very, very little chunk of time, but it's a very, very tricky angle to hit. Even with the 3 beams, it's kind of hard to thread the needle there. Hey, Fortify, you broke it. What the heck, man?
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Did you leave the oven on again?
I just work here, man.
What do you mean? You guys are getting paid for this?
You're not?
Uh-oh.
Wish you didn't say anything.
Oh, shoot.
Damn.
It's alright. We got the barrier suit, which I have often dubbed the orange pajamas. You know, we really just... It's really, really hot outside, so this just gives us another option to keep cool in the summer, you know? Unfortunately, not quite as powerful as the barrier suit in Fusion. It does not protect against cold. So, we'll have to deal with that a bit later. But now, we can go towards one of my least favorite bosses of all time, despite his cameo in this game being extremely cool. We're going towards Kraid, also known as the Evil Green Time Waster himself. Unfortunately, you are victim to whichever attack he decides to do. And that's not always very nice.
Yeah, Kraid is it is a fun little, like, why is Kraid on this planet, whatever. And it's a really cool cutscene prior to that.
Oh yeah,
but
it's one of the coolest ones in the game.
Oh, by far. But it is, like Hobbit mentioned, the fight itself is kind of an RNG fest, so...
Yeah, and it has one really tight, like, specific trick that's, like, it's theoretically just strictly mechanical, but it can be tricky to do back to back to back to back in the way that it asks. So it's definitely a bit of a learning curve on the muscle memory there. But fortunately, now that we are equipped with our pajamas, now we can make our way to Kraid. Very nice exception weave there, just have a little bit of movement to skip a corner that we didn't need to hit. And we have so much health that we can just kind of run through these Dwaynes real quick. I am not very good at pronouncing their actual names, so we just call them Dwayne because they're rocks.
Just gotta, you know, make our way through the Rocky Mountains real quick.
Exactly. Kraid, he's been meditating in the mountains for the last decades. So I'm just gonna drop right in here and basically just start shooting missiles at him. So hopefully here...
Like you said, so you were trying to say
Dwayne's.
Yeah, like Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah,
yep.
I got it after he explained it. In the moment, I was like, oh. Yeah.
Ooh, very nice single wall jumps here from Fortify. So going to skip needing to either shoot his belly or wait for him to shoot his little chest missiles at you. To provide a nice little staircase here. He's very angry, so he does try to punch us, unfortunately. But this is looking like a pretty clean Kraid kill here. Unfortunately, you know, the punch does take a little bit of time, but he basically leaves his mouth open the whole time.
This is one of the better Kraid fights I've had in a while.
Yeah, that was definitely very clean. He was pretty cooperative, and the single wall jumps were good.
Yeah.
And now we get an item from Metroid Other M. So shoutouts to that game. One of the coolest ones I've ever seen.
The best Metroid game.
We're not doing this. No, we're not doing this right now. Absolutely not. The biggest benefit here is that we can kind of poke into walls a little bit, and there are some blobs, such as those ones, that are specifically hard-coded to only take damage to diffusion beam. So, unfortunately, even with the pseudo technology that we have with both beams and missiles, those ones are just completely unhittable, unfortunately. But luckily, as Metroid Dread always does, you have a conveniently placed teleporter. It'll take you right back where you need to go. So now, we'll be heading back into Dyron and making our way towards the bombs, which do actually have a very useful quick kill against Kraid, but unfortunately the backtrack for it is so long that it's not worth it in a speedrunning setting, but if you can, I highly recommend going to bombs before Kraid in a casual playthrough. It's really cool. Another staple of other categories, the early grapple will not be gotten in this version, or this category of
Hobbit. Okay, you're good, never mind, I needed to listen, sorry.
Oh, good. Yeah, that audio cue will allow you to determine where the yellow enemy is. He can be really in the way and make for a specific movement.
Hello?
But fortunately, he's very far away. Very nice. As I was saying before, single wall jump can be very, very tricky. Even if you only have to do it once, it's a very awkward motion to wall jump and then morph in a neutral stick immediately. But now, as Fortify mentioned before, we are in the turned off powered off version of Upper Dairon. So we're just gonna have to drop through this room here and go hit the power button, which unfortunately got flipped at some point.
I blame Raven Beach.
You really, I guess the power bills coming out of Dairon were kind of crazy. All that experimentation is costing him money. You can't conquer the galaxy in energy debt, you know?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. So now we are going to be picking up the bombs. This will allow us to break bomb blocks and use the new bomb cannons, which Mercury Steam put in the game. Honestly, one of the coolest forms of transportation I've seen in Metroid. I just think it's really neat to get shot out of a cannon.
Oh, me too. I really liked them.
Fun fact, if you have cross bombs, they do work with cross bombs. There's no really additional function, but you know, you just want to mix it up a little and hold the R button in late game when you're trying to 100% Dairon, go for it. Walking past some, definitely not spoilers for later. Don't worry about that. And unfortunately, we cannot take the shortcut because we do not have grapple yet. The reason for this is that the routing takes us back to Artaria in order to collect Screw Attack. So it's more worth it just to do it all in one trip instead of taking the early grapple benefits, because it's essentially just 2 loads back to back. And if you can avoid loads, that is ideal. Fortify, unfortunately not a golfer. Missing the hole-in-one, that can be really, really tricky.
My handicap's too high, I gotta lower it.
You know, you've been working too hard. But yeah, you gotta be able to get enough horizontal momentum while dropping in order to actually hit the lip. If you're falling too straight, too vertically, then you won't be able to catch on, unfortunately. There's kind of like a barnacle on the wall that you can slide to and then, like, pivot, respin, and morph into the hole, but, you know, very weird, specific positioning. He'll get another chance later.
Go
ahead.
Because Hobbit was mentioning how we had to do some interesting movement because I didn't have the grapple beam. This is another moment of like where I have to do some otherwise not be able to be seen, not normally seen movement because I don't have the grapple beam. Ordinarily, I'd be able to just take this grapple across, but like yeah, because I don't have the grapple beam, I have to take this little path down, and it's actually really smooth. So.
Yeah, there's some really nice things you can do, like those morph boosts off the ledges to make the water movement feel a little smoother. I know it can feel pretty awkward, and you might have noticed that when possible, Fortify was jumping while moving forward. This just gives you a slight velocity increase compared to just walking in the water. Also, would like to shout out that coyote over that bottom pool below the Cyan TP. That is the hardest coyote in the game, and I cannot elaborate further.
Yeah, shoutouts to the mini moat.
Yeah, that thing takes lives. It's kind of wild. Here we're going to see a backdoor flash shift. Essentially, you can make use of infinite bomb jumping that was shown by Mercury Steam in pre-release. Use a very similar cadence and float above the sensor door, which will cause it to open up and allow us to collect flash shift without going through the water. If you have to take the full route, it's something like 40 seconds to get down there, so absolutely worth it. And here we're going to see that extra marathon safe energy tank. You just take it on the way out here. It's a nice little errand. Ooh, unfortunately getting tagged. That happens sometimes. We're going to be able to proceed into essentially the exit of Berenia. We'll be back one time later, but definitely a pretty quick exit here. We're going to make use of another pseudo-wave technology called a morph shot, where essentially charging a beam and then morphing will cause the beam to come from where Samus's foot is. This lowers the shot point of the beam and pokes it through the floor and allows you to shoot that blob from above. And here Fortify is storing a water bomb jump. Essentially, the game has a specific state around whether you can be launched by a bomb in water. And because Samus Standing and Samus in a Morph Ball are two different entities, you can carry that state forward and allow yourself to boost yourself up in the water like that.
Yeah. fun little movement tech with the not movement tech per se, but piece of movement with the flash shift. It's very similar to the Mothwing cloak from Hollow Knight, and you're very like basically now that we have the flash shift, we never stop using it. If the flash shift is up, we're using it, and basically anytime you see for the rest of the run, flash shift and speed booster go like hand in hand with a lot of different movement for the rest of the run. So.
Yeah, and it's like a very robust movement option. You have a lot of options in spacing with being able to flash up to 3 times, and you can tell in a lot of the architectural design of the game, flash shift is a very, very much accounted for item, where a lot of hallways are just long enough for you to flash once and maybe move through something, or just like very easily move through. And now we're at the CU fight. You may notice that the yellow enemy can be kind of aimed casually, so get your notebooks out because we're going to show you how to deal with the yellow enemy easy peasy. So once Fortify finishes mashing on the brain here, we can essentially just kind of stare it in the face, for lack of a better description. I'll let Fortify demonstrate here. So we just flash out of the room, jump on up, and that's about it. He'll never get to you. This is definitely a really nice breather before coming into this next section here. We'll be going back towards Artaria and getting to the dreaded Crew Attack Short Boost.
Yeah. What a fun trick. What a fun trick that I'm about to do.
Mm-hmm. So while Fortify is going through getting Speed Booster and going into the ensuing intermediary movement sections here, I will take the time to explain Short Boost. So essentially, if you're familiar with fighting game type inputs, say you flash backwards, you can essentially do either a single quarter circle forward from that flash back position or a full half circle from flashing backwards. And what this will do will, the down input will cancel where your flash is positioned. Ooh, getting an unfortunate spark, trying to wall jump there, but that's okay. You get plenty of room to recharge another one. And you avoid sparking while standing, so you do not get that spark cutscene, which is just a little bit slower than a routine wall spark. Here we're going to see another example of really how flash shift fits this game's geometry like a glove. It's very, very nice. And we're going to be seeing Fortify pre-break a couple blocks on his way to the yellow TP to go back to Artaria. But by leveraging the flash shift cancel that I mentioned before, you basically get a small window to run forward while being pushed backwards. And depending on how long you wait between your down input and your forward input will change how far it pushes you back. So if we can balance all of those factors, in addition to a tool that can be used to extend the window for getting the store, we can essentially charge a speed booster in a smaller than normal space. The unfortunate part is that half of that space is in a cold room, so we'll be taking consistent environmental damage during that process. Fortunately, there you can refill health.
Yeah, this is also why I ended up taking 4 tanks instead of 2 or 3 like I would normally do. It's a lot more marathon safe.
Yeah, it gives you a really big safety factor. There's a trick, or a consequence, I guess, of the short boost called an airwalk, where essentially if you're pushed too far back off of the ledge after you flash cancel, it basically just puts you in a position where you're walking forward, but you're walking on the air. And if you do that, you get too far away from the grapple door, it'll close, and then you'll get stuck in the room if you don't have enough tanks. So it definitely saves you a lot of headache not having to go back to the last checkpoint at the Emmy room door, but obviously taking that extra tank gives you much more flexibility to get down there. Here's also kind of like a small demonstration of the flexibility of Speed Booster. Compared to previous games, you have a lot more movement options out of it. You can morph, you can slide, you can jump, you can shoot and stuff. Oh, that was a crazy flash warp. Oh my god.
That was weird!
Okay, so another quirk with flash shift is sometimes it gets caught on corners. but you're still low enough to proceed forward, so when you get caught on a corner like that, the game will basically jump to the end of the flash at the same time that you would normally get over there if you didn't get caught. But seeing the movement into here, we are going to go into here and pre-break this blob, which will give us some extra leeway for getting through here. You can do it in a true one trip, but that can be pretty tricky. So Fortify is just going to make sure he's topped off on resources, and then he's going to be making an attempt here at Screw Attack Short Boost. So that movement he does to climb the ledge, that just gives you a very specific positioning that will allow you to get very deep into the grapple beam door without transitioning the room. Ooh, that was a really, really good flash cancel, but unfortunately pressing forward a little too early. Ooh, okay. Melee. Ooh, that's looking good. And then here you're going to see Fortify open another areas map, which causes the game to jump forward a few frames. This essentially allows the game, or forces the game to catch up to where you would be in a few frames. This allows... Ooh, that was a really clutch bomb. Oh my gosh. That was really, really good. Screw Attack Short Boost is really, really difficult, and I cannot emphasize how tricky it is. Well-deserved dab. Dab. Yes, sir. That's a huge crux in this run here, and allows us to collect the Screw Attack much earlier than usual. This gives us a huge benefit in the upcoming QR Robot fight, because it turns it from kind of a frustrating set of speed charges to just kind of jump at them. But now Fortify having 107 energy, that should be plenty enough to get across the cauldron, much faster to go down than up. And we're going to be seeing a little speed keep here in order to head back to the yellow teleportal. Very nice speed keep here, and here is what I believe is one of my favorite speed keeps in the game. Makes use of all of the fundamental tech to preserve a speed keep, including slides, jumps, jump morphs, and then we're going to see an instant spark up. Very nice. Very, very clean movement here. Just kind of trying to get back to the LOTP as soon as possible.
That is, yeah, that movement back to the yellow TB is so good.
It's really clean. It really demonstrates like the best of Dread's movement. And good stuff on that Screw Attack Short Boost, man. That was really fast.
That was a lot faster than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I saw that good backslide run forward, and I was like, he's in there.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Like Hobbit was saying, now that we have the Screw Attack, it's a lot of the bosses in this fight, or in this game that are coming up, where ordinarily you would have to use either a Screw Attack, or not a Screw Attack, a Speed Booster, like a Shine Spark to spark into the boss. A lot of things just become super trivial, because you are not supposed to have the Screw Attack this early.
Yeah, the game normally locks Screw Attack into Frozen Artaria, or just after, depending if you do the dev intended sequence break. But now we get to have it for the rest of the game, which is extremely nice here. You're seeing a nice little flash chain there. And we are going to Quiet Robo, which has another really cool speed keep on the entrance in here. And having Screw Attack doesn't really make a big difference for the movement itself, but if you get caught up and you drop the spark right at the end, it allows you to get through the little flies that are there a little more easily.
Oh yeah, good point. I was like, what?
Yeah, those things are so annoying, man.
I'm just thinking of the next like 5-10 minutes of what I'm gonna do. I'm like, wait a minute, what do you mean?
I love Quiet Robo, bro. I love this keep. It's so cool. Alright, very nice, very nice. Looking good, and easy peasy. Like, Dread Speed Booster is so cool. I can gush about it all day. It's one of the coolest features in the game. And now we just get to jump into this guy like 12 times. So, or 6 times. So, very, very easy. I believe the gold ones are more. But, yeah, that fight can be really, really frustrating if you don't have Screw Attack. So being able to basically just apply the steps to one button is very, very nice.
Oh, darn it.
Oh, that was a really like huge fall from one block to the floor.
That was a really jump.
Yeah, it can be kind of tricky to space your jump because depending on how long you hold it, you'll jump different distances. And most of the time, you know, you're either doing like the shortest jump or the longest one. So sometimes finding that something in the middle can cause you to catch a ledge you didn't mean to. But now, honestly, I feel like the run gets, you know, now that we're through basically the crux of the run, it becomes kind of a, not quite a cleanup, but a much more like movement focused and like I guess simpler path through the rest of the game. So a lot of this is pretty standard stuff, making use of the flash shift to carve around these rooms. And man, it's absolutely wild to me how well like the room shape is designed for doing all the sorts of movement options you have.
What? Where was mine? Okay.
All right, let's see if you're a golfer this time. Huge. Great work, Fortify. You are now a golfer. How does it feel?
Told you I raised my handicap. I can do it. I can do it now.
Even got it with the flash. That's pretty sick. Slick. Going back to Berenian. Now Pyro very kindly opened the door for us. That was unfortunately closed before. So now we can move towards Gavaram.
I have to fight Dragago, right? We'll go in there. This is all bosses.
Well, I mean, you know, if you really want to. But fortunately, we have diffusion beam, so we can just kind of pop that blob right behind him and say bye-bye. You know, we don't need to fight Spore Spawn. The Spore Spawn of Metroid Dread. He can live. It's fine. I'm sure he'll really like it when the X moves in.
Aw.
Yeah, sometimes you don't quite get the drop you need when you're sliding off. You're a little early. That can cause you to just kind of like put the ledge and not continue the speed keep like you were aiming to. Ooh, very nice flash shifts through this room. You have two options. There's a speed keep variant and then a flash shift variant. Both pretty close to each other. The flash shift being slightly faster, just because you have to do a lot of like zigging and zagging, and the time it takes to get that speed booster can take time. Ooh, that was awesome. Very, very clean Steve Tower climb, and very, very clean Drog Pseudo. So essentially, by doing a double turnaround into the wall, that is another scenario that can force Samus's cannon into the wall. And because we have diffusion beam, we can essentially just very easily pop the blob in 2 shots there. And Fortify made it look super easy, but those double grapple cancels to get up the tower around those those guys that throw the spikes can be very, very frustrating. So making it look really clean really easily.
Yeah, burning a tower is if you get caught, it's the stuff of nightmares. It's, oh my goodness.
Yeah, especially with this fight coming up here, it's a little more important in categories you have to fight Drog in, or you don't have Screw Attack in. But this upcoming fight is definitely pretty resource intensive without Screw Attack. Fortunately, we can Shine Spark into the room to take the first half of its health bar away, and then that should allow us to easy peasy mash Screw Attack into it. So getting nice double hits here. And the robot's dead. It's gone.
It just trivializes so much.
Yeah,
like on top of
really...
not having to removing a trip to Artaria in the run, it just makes a lot of these boss fights so much quicker.
Yeah, it does an incredibly large amount of damage compared to literally everything else you have. So being able to just kind of power through things while you still only have wide beam is really nice. And fortunately, like Fortify said, it will allow us to save a trip in Artaria. We would be able to actually just skip right by Frozen Artaria and go back to Green TP later, after Gravity Suit. But first we got the Super Missiles, pretty much only used to open a few doors. There's not even that many Super Missile doors in Dread, but
I wish there were more.
Yeah, honestly, I do too. I really like Super Missiles, especially just the really meaty feeling get from
Oh, I know.
it. It's so satisfying.
Oops.
Oh. So
Super missile dragon quick kill though is so fun.
I love that, man. They definitely like very intended super missiles to do extra damage to Drog. So like it makes the kill feel really, really satisfying, and it's very easy to hit a one cycle. But unfortunately, this is any percent, and Drog costs a significant amount of time, so we don't get to see him. But heading to everyone's favorite area here, Elon, pretty much just to grab some plasma beam and release the X here, because the X being released is actually required for Golzuna to spawn. Despite there being 3 X bosses in the game, 2 out of 3 of them are available even if you don't spawn them.
Yeah. Lore-wise, this is kind of like the quarantine area of the planet. Like we're called here story-wise to ZDR because there's supposed to be X on this planet. This is where they all are. Coming up to Metroid Dread's worst room in the game.
Yeah, Elon is definitely kind of like a challenge movement showcase here. Like, having Screw Attack allows you to get through a lot of those enemies easier, but especially that little electrified eye guy can really disrupt your movement on the way down there. But Fortify's through it no problem, and now he's feeling green. So now we can open the green energy doors here, and we will be taking a neat little speed keep to get out of here. Really making use of morph shots as well as various different speed keeping options. And then by sparking the door, you can basically just avoid needing to counter it at all. And now we basically just get to like a little tiny baby DPS check. With how much health Fortify has, he doesn't really need to worry about damage too much. He can just kind of sit there and pump out beams, and you notice he might be shooting missiles in between them as well. While we do promote the use of turbo controllers for runs, you are only allowed to missile weave while mashing. This is essentially just tapping the R button while you're mashing the beam button, and that will intersperse a missile between your beam shots, really optimizing DPS, especially because missiles do a pretty nice chunk of damage in addition to the mashing. Ooh, very nice. Greatest time save there. So during a Shine Spark, you can continue to hold a charge beam, and if you press R to switch to missiles, it will release it. This allows you to hit doors while you're sparking.
Yeah, and I do want to also mention as well, yes, like Hobbit was saying, we do allow Turbo, like both Hobbit and I are on the leadership committee for Metroid Dread, and we do allow Turbo on the boards and everything like that, but I just wanted to mention I am not using Turbo. That is, I'm just using a Pro controller, so anything like that is just my natural mash. So
yeah, a little good old-fashioned Pro controller. It's a really nice controller for this game. The digital triggers specifically are very, very nice. But coming out of here, we will be doing the Elon Return speed keep and making our way towards the blue Emmy. Another Emmy that can be a bit of a problem when just trying to navigate the Emmy zone. That cone of freezing is really, really dangerous. And can be really, really annoying, but we can kind of manipulate his movement here. And then, because we are doing NMG, not glitchless, we don't have to do glitchless over the ice. So we will be able to make use of another water bomb here.
GI.
Listen, man, I gotta mention it's one of the coolest tricks in the game.
I mean, you're not wrong. Just because you're not wrong doesn't mean you're right.
That's true. Hey, you know, what's right if I'm fun? Fortunately, the blue Emmy not spawning there. Unfortunately, in that drop down, the blue Emmy can just be waiting to freeze you there. But Fortify being able to take his time getting into the Emmy zone, guaranteeing a speed charge to break the shell. And then fortunately, because we have the Screw Attack, we can just kind of bop the brain and get rid of it. Now coming to the blue Emmy here. By pre-opening that door, it will cause him to go straight to the ceiling here. And then it becomes a very similar fight to the yellow Emmy fight. Doing that speed booster will basically manipulate its movement to make it go up instead of down. And while its face mask is pretty beefy, the wall is, or the ceiling is so long that it's pretty easy to just kind of shoot at it. Even if you make one like a little slip up, it's pretty forgiving. And now, unfortunately, because Samus is, you know, so much part Metroid, we never get Ice Beam again, so...
I'm so angry about that. I'm so angry about that retcon,
It is so
dude.
sad, man. I love Ice Beam. But fortunately, we do still get Ice Missiles, which will allow us to break Enkies as well as freeze enemies. Unfortunately, freezing enemies is mostly not super relevant in Dread.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But Enkies very much in our way in blocking us from going where we need to. So we will be making full use of those ice missiles in order to proceed. Another notable shortcut here, because we have the screw attack again, you notice that these are screw attack blocks. This will allow us to avoid needing to... Commentator's Curse. So normally you can just kind of drop through and grab the ledge there. But sometimes, you know, you miss the angle just a little bit, and you miss the ledge because it's water. But just a nice little shortcut loop in order to avoid needing to do a shine spark across the water.
It's okay, Hobbit. I blame you.
That's okay. I accept this. I accept this responsibility. It is what it is.
I definitely didn't miss that because of the skill issue. It was you.
Yeah, it was me. It always was. Alrighty, and now we're going to go get Gravity Suit, which is essentially needed for like one room. This will allow us to go through cold rooms without dying, as well as being able to access the purple emulator.
God,
unfortunately,
I love this
we do.
Gravity Suit.
It's so cool, man. Dread, in general, I think across the board has one of the coolest sets of suit designs in the game. Like, I really like the SR suits as well, but the Dread suit is really, really, really cool. So, Fortify in the early gravity puzzle. Fortunately, this is a very useful dev-intended shortcut. It is literally just skipping a really long underwater section that is really not ideal for going fast.
To be honest, it's kind of cool. Like, it's some interesting movement, but God, is it slow.
Yeah, there is some cool, like, damage boost down there for, like, minimalist categories and stuff like that. But definitely significantly faster just to come down here.
Shoutouts to God Blobs, by the way.
Yeah, shoutouts to Blobs in general. You know, they're very nice. But sometimes they don't always get hit by the diffusion shots you want. And here we are. Purple pajamas are coming up here, breaking that blob because he can. And
yeah,
we've got the gravity.
It's definitely not hundo muscle memory.
You would never. You would never.
What's 100%?
You know, we can ask AGDQ23 for that. They might know. But fortunately, now we have our unrestricted movement in water. And we have screw attack, so we actually have no reason to go to Frozen Artaria. You can just do some movement up here, break these blocks, and then spark up to the top. And then, unfortunately, we still will have to fight the robots here, but we have Plasma Beam, and you can line them up pretty nice, and because Plasma Beam pierce, you'll be able to hit both of them. As long as they don't do that blue melee attack, they can do the red one if they want, as much as they want. They can do the melees, but if you get that blue melee attack, it really shoves you back, unfortunately. That was unfortunate. Another little quirk with the robots is if you slide under their charge beam attack, their next movement will always be an immediate parry attack. So if you're ever in need of some energy during a robot fight, just slide under their charge beam and then be ready to hit X pretty much immediately. So, again, Screw Attack really making the line from start to finish a lot more linear. You know, you don't have to do a lot of doubling back into areas. There are a couple, trips like this where you go into Berenia, grab the important item, and then continue forward, but luckily we don't have to do Frozen Artaria, which skips the Z57 fight, which can be one that can be pretty challenging and time-consuming as well.
I meant to do that.
Yeah, sometimes the screw attack you just get unfavorable block breakage, but no problem. Pretty easy to just get right out. Another benefit of having Screw Attack, you can just kind of leave. And now we'll be coming up to another boss that is a common huge pain point for a lot of runners, Ozuna. But fortunately, we have some tech to just kind of Shine Spark it 4 times. Very nice, Fortify, very nice. That's a clean 4 spark if I've ever seen one. And now we can just kind of Shine Spark into the Corex, and it just is gone.
What a fun fight. It's definitely not borderline Kaizo.
Yeah, it can be really, really tight to get that store after they give you like barely enough room. And honestly, also the timing for when it goes from Musby to Goliath, that can be really, really tough. There is some movement options in here to skip needing to use cross bombs, but it's pretty tight movement and you don't really gain much time. It's just a little bit. It's a lot more ideal to do with like an additional jump upgrade, such as spin boost or space jump. But cross bombs are mostly just kind of like a quality of life buff for us through the rest of the game.
Yeah, well, now we're headed to Criteria. I mean, Hanubia.
No, wrong game.
I don't know. I just go fast. Sometimes I don't even know what game I'm playing.
That's true. Especially depending on what category you're playing. This game looks so different. It's kind of wild.
Gangplank Galleon, right? That's where I'm at. This is Donkey Kong Country too, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've got coyote jumps. I mean,
I'm holding a Super Nintendo controller, right?
Yeah. And you're gonna go spell Kong.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Another just kind of small intermediary area showing us more doors we can't break. Unfortunately, in this game, Wave Beam is the final upgrade instead of being a mid-game upgrade like it is in like other games. So definitely keeping that mix up from Fusion.
Fusion was a good game. I really, truly liked Fusion.
It is. I really enjoy Fusion as well. It's a very, very cool
I know
game.
the whole, like, oh, Fusion's too linear, it's not a good game, it's not a good speed run, it's blah, 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 blah. But I truly enjoy Fusion, and, like, yes, it has its issues, but, like, the game is so fun. The game is really, really good.
Between runs I've seen from Scotty and runs I've seen, the run from Monkey at GDQ, it's a sick game, man.
Still can't believe Monkey went for the SAI skip.
Hey, you know, you gotta be a baller sometimes. Alright, so back in Ferenia here, we are going to take a little pit stop here to open that door. This will allow us to more easily get to space jump later. A really, really cool feature of this area is it's a really good testament to platform movement. So you see here, Fortify makes use, that was a very generous keep on the corner. Oh my gosh, that's the longest rub I've seen in a hot minute. But you get a lot of practice like weaving between platforms, using dash melees to skip platforms, and using flash ship to navigate around corners as well. Unfortunately, the enemy can see through the walls, so sometimes it just kind of sees you, but for the most part it's not really a big deal.
Video game? Thank you.
In our A's and B's mixed up, unfortunately. Another nice little shortcut from Mercury Steam, just allowing us to go straight instead of having to go back around. And now we're coming up to SQ, our favorite trampoline. Another very big perk of Screw Attack here is this allows us to essentially just kind of embarrass SQ by bouncing on him 6 times. And then if you can hit the core X twice while it's still forming, it won't have iframes. That allows you to do a little 2-cycle like Fortify just showed us. Very, very clean fight, very, very impressive. Very mindful, very demure. And now we can just kind of go grab space jump and go finish the area. Unfortunately, these are like max space platforms, so it really tests the full length of your jump. But it's nothing too crazy. And we can do a little tiny speed keep here, a little bit easier with extra jumps, but Now we will be making our way towards the double robot fight, where we'll be seeing a similar strategy where Fortify is going to line them up, and in order to DPS both of them, because damaging 2 is always faster than damaging just 1, even if screw attack damage is pretty significant. So we can kind of spark it, get some storm locks, and then mash our way through. Those storm locks do so much damage, it's insane. Like, storm missiles take a little bit to charge up, but if you can pre-charge them, you get so much bonus damage. And now we will be going into the space jump room. Fortunately, this door actually takes kind of a while to open back up, so if you flash into the room, you might be able to. It's going to be close. But if you flash back quickly enough, oh, unfortunate. If you flash back quickly enough, you can avoid doing this little return through the water. It doesn't take too long to get done, but you know, just kind of reduces on movement that is not required. But now that we have all of the upgrades from Frenia, we are finally ready to take on the purple Emmy. Another Emmy fight, which could be up for hardest one, but in my opinion, I still think true plant kill from white Emmy is the hardest kill.
Oh yeah, true plant.
Like, it's just so, like, the window for it is so tight. It's, every time I see it, I'm just, what? But yeah, that storm missile check, that screw check, and the cold room. That cold room and then this water room here are pretty much the only reasons we need gravity suit. So very nice quick charges. The diffusion shots from like those charge beams are very, very nice. They will pop the blobs so that you can just kind of do a quick 1-2 and get through that area. Fortunately, here again, we have speed booster on the way in, and then we can just kind of bop the brain with screw attack. And now it's purple in me. You got a lot of options here. Technically, you can start the water drain and then stop it. That's not necessarily fast. It makes the enemy really slow, but it does make the kill very easy.
Shoutouts to Grady.
But fortunately, yeah, it's crazy. It's honestly incredible that it works that way. Like, you can just hit the button again. But Fortify is basically just going to be doing the plant setup.
Ooh, this is not
you
good.
can miss. I think you can miss like 3 shots and still get plant. But the jump over is pretty easy here. You can just do a little straight jump over like that, and then drop down and finish out the kill. It looks stressful, but honestly, like, the movement is pretty simple. And as long as you don't get any shenanigans with the Omega Stream aiming while you're turning around, it's a pretty easy kill.
Yeah, at this point we're now fully in the end game. We just have a small little boss gauntlet in the form of Chozo soldiers before we head up to Raven Beach, so...
Yeah, also known as DPS checks.
Quite literally.
Press that B button as much as you can.
How fast can your fingers move?
You know, mine, not that fast. I got old man hands. But, fortunately, there are setups with missiles as well that can kind of make the first phase much easier and not require as much mashing. But I'm going to be seeing another little flash shift showcase here. We have space jump, so it's pretty easy to go through that pretty much like right angle shaped room. And unfortunately, like, that claw can really easily bump you. Ooh, nice flash chain. That's a tough one.
It's one of my favorite ones. It's just start a cleanup, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You're like, in your brain, you're getting revved up for cleanup right now.
I am. I was like, we got another half hour, right?
Nah, bro. We got a date with Ravenbeak. He's waiting for us.
Can't wait a half
an
hour.
We don't want to leave him hanging.
Can't wait a half hour?
No, not this time. But because we pulled the grapple block earlier, we can basically just kind of waltz our way back through Hanubia. That speed booster there is essentially just to kill that robot. They are really awkward to move around because they take 2 screw attacks to kill. So just kind of running through it like a train is a much more preferable movement option over having to awkwardly bounce off of it. You will see Fortify pre-charging the storm missiles here. The longer you hold R, the quicker you get storm locks. So if you can pre-charge them, it's pretty much always worth it. Another small fact to note is that I think this is because of the cutscenes in the original fight. That phase transition between the first two phases of the fight actually doesn't take damage, so that's why Fortify opts to just get those Stormlocks, so that way he can get that immediate burst damage, making Red Soldier look like a total fool, honestly.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple fight. The Gold Chozo has a little bit more stakes. The damage he does is absolutely absurd. You've got so many tanks that, like, you can probably take 3 hits from him. But
Probably.
he does percent health damage instead of a flat number. So
Which I love, by the way.
It's honestly an incredible change
So
from this fight, because these fights are back to back, you know? So it's just like, hey, that one was just a warm-up. Like, get ready. Like, it's so dangerous that, like, I've seen speedrunners who have played this game for 2 years almost, or like 3 years almost, get tagged by that thing, and then suddenly, like, you're playing a stealth game, you know? You're trying to avoid everything because you get breathed on at all. It's over. Ooh, very nice penthouse keep here. Oh no! Okay, it's okay. It's okay. We have space jump. I unfortunately have commentators curse Fortify yet again. You know, it's what I do. But there is a little alternate pathway with screw attacks, so if you do miss that spark up, you can just kind of jump at them. Alright, nice Stormlocks, getting a couple missiles with some weaving in, and these locks should do it. Very, very nice. Ooh, he's staying on the ground. He's being very nice to you. Ooh, okay. Very nice, very nice. Okay, now he's on the wall, but there we go. That's the fight. That's it. Just shoot beams at him. Are you ready to go see Dad? He's been waiting for you.
I haven't seen him since he went out for milk.
Yeah, he wanted to, like, conquer the galaxy or something like that, you know?
Wow. Wow.
But fortunately, our Metroid powers have woken up, and we're pretty aware of them now, which changes that kill cutscene on the Chozo soldiers.
Yeah, it turns out
honestly,
Samus is a Metroid. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, they really came full circle with that one. Like,
Had us in the first half,
I know they were
not gonna
setting
lie.
up, but still. So now we can answer the question: why can't Metroid crawl? We don't know.
Man.
But she sure can ball. Alrighty, so coming up here is the final boss, Ravenbeak. First phase, he has kind of like an energy shield, and if you don't do enough damage during the parry attacks that he gives you the opportunity to do, he will put up an invulnerable gold shield. So we'll be able to make use of the Storm Missile. Ooh, very nice phase one. You can't ask for a better one than that. Making use of 2 Stormlocks here, we can get a little bit of additional damage, which allows us to mash through this. This cutscene is also flash shift cancelable, so if you want to, you can flash shift to the right or left. And it will allow you to get a couple pot shots in. We will also be seeing Fortify crowding the left wall. If you are on the left wall, then Ravenbeak cannot do that downward slamming attack. And he will often just do Beam Burst and this kind of like side slam. But unfortunately, even if you're only like half a tile off the wall, he can still do the downward slam. I think theoretically it would work for the right wall as well. Ooh, unfortunately running out of missiles. But
okay. Alright!
Okay, opening melee. So Ravenbeak has several attacks you can choose from to open up phase 3 with. And this is basically just free ED, like really free DPS on him. This puts you really far ahead in the fight. We're going to be seeing Fortify use the patented Void Cross method, popularized by the one and only GSM Void, for all the Smash players out there. You can basically intersperse the crossbones between the missile shots in order to keep up a consistent DPS between the gaps in the missiles. And with that, he's done. Now it's just escape, and we're out of here.
Yeah, time's gonna be
And now
on
Fortify.
the final frame of escape.
We can ask the most important cultural question of Metroid Dread. What flavor is Hyper Beam? Is it watermelon? Black cherry? Raspberry? I'm personally hardcore with watermelon, but
I'm a black cherry fan myself.
there's a lot of good answers for it, man. Because it definitely has that that darker pink color for black cherry, you know. It fits the bill.
I'm gonna go for Arc Spark.
Oh, huge. Okay. So, Arc Spark is a really, really difficult speed keep in the latter half of Escape. Essentially, they give you just enough space to charge up a spark, and then there is a slope you can spark into, and as long as you will wall jump off of the wall while Samus is moving downwards, you will get a lower wall jump, which will allow you to keep speed all the way up until the cutscene spark at the bottom of the room below the pipe that we saw our Fortify do the penthouse keep, which he unfortunately sparked the pipe in. You may also notice that Fortify is not flash shifting at all. The Metroid suit does take all of your Aeon abilities, including Pulse Radar, unfortunately. And here we're going to see an Arc Spark attempt. Okay. Ooh, okay.
Try it one more time.
Yeah, that's... Alright, yeah. You got plenty of time in Escape to try this. So, again, a really, really tight spark into wall jump here. Ooh, very nice. Alright, 1, 2.
Almost.
Ooh, okay. You got most of it. That slide morph is so tight. Like, you have to land, shoot, and then immediately do a slide morph in order to keep it. But fortunately, there's plenty of room to get a spark in order to spark up. And that's Metroid Dread.
What a great game.
This game is honestly incredible. The movement is so fluid, the boss fight strats are really good, and a lot of the tricks available are both accessible and really impactful. Honestly, the only NMG trick we don't see here is Ledge Warp, unfortunately.
True.
Well, that was awesome. GG.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an awesome run, man. Especially with that screw attack short boost. That's like, I cannot speak enough. That is a very hard trick.
Yeah, the trick is tough. But yeah, awesome run. Really good time. Thank you for SDAT and for all the people over at Speed Docs for accepting the run. It's a really good run. It's a really fantastic game, truly. Shout outs to the Metroid Dread community. Shout outs to all the people who have done a bunch of work on this game, obviously. Shout outs to the devs for, making the game. But yeah, if you want to see more Metroid content, I will be returning to this game full time later this year. I'm going to be doing a lot of cool stuff with this, and yeah, I know that the Metroid Dread community is always willing to answer any questions in our Discord, all that good stuff. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much. This was a great run. We're going to take one last pause for the cause. We're going to pay some bills to keep the lights on. And when we come back, we'll be getting ready for our final run of SDAT 2024, Twilight Princess by CJitsallGewd. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.